It has nothing to do with morals. It's not because out of moral reasons, but it's simply we learn not to throw so much of our creative, beautiful life force away if we develop patience. Hello, my friends. Let's talk about a very useful virtue. Let's talk about patience. Patience, that capacity of not getting upset if things are not moving quickly the way we would like to move them. Actually, there are two aspects to patience. Sometimes we want something, we would like something, and it's not happening, and we still would like, and it's still not happening, and there we have to learn to have patience until it's materializing. But there is another aspect. Patience just in the day-to-day life while communicating with other people. So many situations come up where we may feel offended, where we may feel misunderstood, where we think that people are not reacting intelligently. And the tendency may be there to get really that it's getting on the nerves and then expressing it harshly. And actually, we are creating a lot of problems like this. When I was in the beginning with Amma, then she told me two things. Because I was mad for wanting something. And instead of telling me to relax, she said, yes, yes, increase the desire for liberation. But then sometimes she added, but you must have patience. First part I wanted to hear, the second part I didn't want to hear. This Werner guy wasn't exactly endowed with lots of patience at that time. We may have our personal ideas how things should be, and so many times they just are not the way we want them. Then we can get very upset about it and can get very tense about it and lose a lot of energy and get maybe sometimes destructive. It's worth the trouble to learn to accept. It's worth the trouble to learn to deal with situations that are not to our liking and not getting pushed out of our equanimity. We can spend so much of energy just resisting facts the way they are. Vasishtha Maharshi in his Yoga Vasishtha says, those who learn patience, they are sought after throughout all the worlds. It has been put up as a virtue that is really worth the trouble to learn, but it has nothing to do with morals. It's not because out of moral reasons, but it's simply we learn not to throw so much of our creative, beautiful life force away if we develop patience. Something I didn't even want to have patience. I thought, no, if I develop patience, then things are getting even slower. I don't want to have patience. But then it's just getting more difficult and we are more trouble. It's worth the trouble to have patience. Anyhow, this world is a temporary appearance. When we are in the midst, totally identified with the story, then we may think, oh, things are taking so long, everything is so slow, things are not the way I like. But if you step a step back and see for what it is, then even a human lifespan is just a moment, that eternity. And how can we develop patience? Well, first, one has to learn not to resist against the idea, as I did for quite a long time. Resisting, I don't want to have patience. I want things to happen. Accepting, all right, it's worth to develop patience. What does it mean to have patience? It simply means that if there are tensions, instead of totally being in resistance and reacting, then accepting them and learn to relax. Be centered and relaxed. Remain in your equanimity in spite of adverse circumstances. This actually makes us grow. When we just foolishly throw away our energy all the time in all the situations because we're always struggling against them, fighting with everything, then our energy gets lost. But if we are learning not to do so, it's like that inner strength is continuously increasing. And that is after that there, not simply to deal with the circumstances, but it's there for everything. We don't really have to collect power. That that is an idea. We have to do sadhana in order to collect power, in order to get strong enough to achieve this and achieve that. All that energy is already here now with us. That source of energy is there, but we can learn to really connect with that source of energy, and especially we can learn not to foolishly throw it away then all the time. Somebody who has learned that becomes just powerful in the actions, in the presence, in the way of dealing with people, and also has the patience, has the power to accept that things sometimes may move slowly, even if we would prefer that they move fast. Patience gives you so much peace. If we are all the time impatient, then we are always agitated, always in pain. So it's worth the trouble not to resist the idea of developing patience, and then also consciously, sincerely be aware of, aha, here I can really learn something by developing more of that precious capacity of being at ease, of remaining in our peace, even when circumstances are full of tensions, even when people behave in funny ways. That doesn't mean we have to become meek and let everybody walk down on us. It simply means that we don't lose our energy. Sometimes it's also perfectly valid that we are very strongly saying no to something. Sometimes it's totally valid that we are strongly manifesting if something is not okay that we are seeing, but we can still inside remain connected with that peace, not lose it and get all identified with emotions and get destructive about them. Without patience, it's not possible to live in this world and become peaceful. Have peace. Peace is already there. We don't have to develop it, but we have to develop the capacity to connect with that aspect of our being, no matter what. And that is what patience is about. Now something is on out there. Something is in the world. Something that is around the globe and is influencing people, and actually it's exactly acting against what I have been talking about. It tries to cut off that connection with the essence. It tries to make people more identified with their petty little emotions and thoughts. So it's at the present even much more important that we don't forget, okay, let's learn to be patient. And I see it's manifesting how people behave with each other. There is so much more aggression. Of course, there is the other side also. The light is getting stronger. People sometimes do wonderful things. These little acts of helping others, these little acts of compassion, these little expressions of love, they are all there. But unfortunately, large majority of the people is made just flowing along with the easier aspect, and it has been so long in control that it has become easier for us to slip into negativity and destruction. And I can see people who behaved rather gently before have the tendency to become much more violent, aggressive, how they're fighting with each other. They are always ready that immediately, if something is not to their liking, whoa, react like this. The tendency to pull is very strong. And because of that, it's that much more important that we remember, hey, we can learn to live, even in this situation, we can learn to live in such a way that we are at peace, no matter what's going on all around, no matter how much negative energies are whirling around. We can learn to connect with that base, with that peaceful base. We can develop that capacity to be patient with people, with events, with the whole story, and be at peace in spite of all the pull that goes in the other direction.